What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
In warfare, looting was typically discouraged, and stealing from civilians was strictly forbidden. However, disarming foes to neutralize them was fair game. As Adelman had demonstrated by repurposing weapons taken from the Imperial Army, it was often left to each commander's discretion to decide how to handle equipment seized in battle.
If Adelman can provide his troops with gear, there's no reason I can't do the same.
This thought filled Shion with confidence. She had considered asking Rimuru for assistance but then dismissed the idea, deciding it would be too indulgent. In this way, Shion had matured, although opting to plunder the enemy's supplies was perhaps not the most virtuous solution. Still, this tactic lifted her troops' spirits, and Shion herself felt invigorated. After all, the giant army before them wore massive armor, a trove of materials ripe for the taking. Everyone grinned at the prospect. Now, regarding Shion's forces, the Yomigari had fewer than 100 members, each one considered an elite officer. This was fitting, as even the weakest among them had been designated over A rank by Rimuru after being named by the Death Oni clan. These warriors, hornless demons, were fiercely individualistic, some even recruited from Shion's fan club, while others preferred to act as lone wolves. A few eccentric members, appearing as young girls, led squads composed of numerous male followers. Truly, this was a group where just about anything went. Then there was Shion's fan club. This faction, known as the Terror Knights, was led by Dagura, Liura, and Dabura, with Gobzo as honorary president. However, Gobzo's role was more akin to a golfer than a leader. The Terror Knights had a combat-ready force of around 3,000, made up of various races loyal to Shion's cause. Through past battles, they had honed their skills, evolving into a unit comparable to A- rank, much like the Death Knights. In this fight, they were truly meant to be the main fighting force. But there was one potential concern.
Are you sure about this? If you want to reunite with your father, now would be the time.
The bond between Dagruel and his sons, Dagura, Liura, and Dabura, was complicated. As father and sons, there was the fear that familial ties might prevent them from fighting with full intensity. Shion and the others didn't doubt their loyalty but wondered if the brothers could genuinely go all out against their father.
Gobzo has a point. You can always see him after the battle, so there's no need to overdo it.
Shion added, but Dagura and his brothers just grinned.
Don't worry. Whether it's our father or our uncle, we'll give them a real beating.
Yeah, time to show them what we're really made of.
I am getting hungry.
Hungry.
Shion couldn't help but wonder what Dabura meant by that. Then again, Dabura often made odd comments. Given his plump figure, maybe his appetite was natural, though Shion doubted it was any sign of enthusiasm. It wasn't worth diving into, so she chose to let it slide. If they said they could handle it, she'd trust them. The real issue, however, lay with their uncles. Rimuru had mentioned Dagruel's change of heart might involve one of his brothers. Apparently, Dagruel had two brothers, and one in particular was said to be quite troublesome.
Tell me, what do you know about Dagruel's brothers?
Shion asked directly, realizing this was a question she should have raised sooner. The three sons shared what they knew without hesitation.
Yeah. We've got two uncles. Blaster, my father's second in command, helped raise us, but this guy Fen, we've never met him.
I heard he was sealed away for being too dangerous. The rumor is he even overpowered our father once. It sounds a bit unbelievable, but if it's true, he might be a real threat.
Shion listened, nodding thoughtfully, though their information was limited.
I see. Dagruel Dono is certainly strong. I'd love to challenge him myself. But if Fen and the others are on his level, they're definitely a threat.
Her confident smile suggested she wasn't actually worried. Encouraged, Dabura mirrored her confidence.
Well, if you leave it to us, we will handle both our father and our uncles without a problem.
Despite his bravado, Shion felt a flicker of doubt. There's a saying, one man's mistake is another's warning, and this situation seemed to fit that perfectly.
But still, don't let your guard down.
Ultima cautioned Shion.
Dagruel is incredibly powerful, and to be honest, I'd have a tough time against him if I didn't give it my all.
Shion nodded in agreement. She was eager to face him but knew winning wasn't guaranteed. She respected Dagruel's strength as a warrior and wanted to test herself against him.
Even so, it's hard to imagine he betrayed us.
Maybe he betrayed us, or maybe he just had something he felt he had to do. Either way, there's no use pondering over it. We'll understand once we defeat him.
Ultima responded to Shion's question in her usual straightforward way. Dagruel was a god of ancient origin, a being born from the earth itself. Creatures like him, with lifespans stretching far beyond human history, tended to know each other and often had long-standing relationships. It was possible he even knew Feldway, Ultima mused, and if that were true, calling his actions betrayal might not be accurate. Ultimately, she realized there was no clear answer. Now that they stood on opposite sides, it didn't matter. The victor would decide what was right. Shion nodded in agreement with Ultima's reasoning.
In the past, I'd have recklessly challenged Dagruel Dono to a one-on-one duel.
The old Shion would have done so without a thought as to whether she'd win or lose. Everyone could agree on that. Even now, Shion felt that confronting Dagruel herself might be the quickest solution. But as someone leading an army, she understood that such impulses were no longer appropriate.
And yet, here I am, able to actually think through a strategy. I must be growing into a balanced person.
Shion congratulated herself, feeling a sense of accomplishment. No one else would agree with her, or so they thought, until Dabura made a ridiculous comment.
Shion-sama isn't fat at all.
Everyone's minds converged on the same thought. He's a dead man. Dabura, the youngest of the three brothers, was the type who seemed to gain weight more than wit from all he ate. He was easily the most oblivious of the three, worse than even Gobzo when it came to reading the room, and often blurted things without thinking. Naturally, his remark incensed Shion. Of course, Shion wasn't remotely overweight, but that wasn't the point. She was angry, and that was all that mattered.
Oh, really?
With a dazzling smile, Shion clenched her fist and drove it straight into Dabura's stomach. The infamous, one-punch Shion, struck again with her signature corkscrew punch.
You fool. Learn your lesson already,
she said to Dabura, now sprawled on the ground.
This is a reward.
Dabura passed out, smiling contentedly for reasons unknown. His two brothers, watching, couldn't hide their jealousy. Though not quite as dim as Dabura, they were equally foolish. Faced with the three brothers, Shion felt both exasperated and strangely impressed. The truth was, she was growing less cautious about holding back around them. For instance, even after hitting Dabura with a serious punch, he'd only fainted, completely unharmed. In sheer resilience, he was clearly the strongest of the three brothers. Some people, Shion reflected, were truly remarkable in surprising ways. However, as her allies, these three were reliable. Shion genuinely trusted them from the bottom of her heart. She quickly refocused her attention. Looking over at Dagruel's sons, Dagura, Liura, and Dabura, Shion's thoughts turned to their mission. The long wall could not fall. Beyond it lay a sacred land, unfortified and leading directly into human civilization. Defending that terrain would be challenging, and losing it would spell the end of Rimuru vision. For Shion, that outcome was unacceptable. She renewed her resolve to prevent such a loss. She pondered just how powerful Dagruel truly was.
They say he could stand toe-to-toe with Veldora-sama, so I couldn't ask for a better opponent. Even if I lose, we still have Ultima and Ruminous-sama here.
In the end, the victor will be. With Dagruel came his two brothers, and potentially other formidable allies. Shion's fighting spirit would not waver in the face of these unknown threats. If it came to the worst, she was prepared to eliminate Dagruel, even if it meant risking her entire army or her own life.
Listen up. Adelmon's making the first strike, but the real action starts with us. Let's show them what we're capable of,
Shion declared confidently to her eager troops. Her words ignited a chorus of cheers, echoing like fans cheering at a concert. For Shion and her followers, nerves weren't a concern. Her fearless grin inspired her comrades. Watching Shion's exchange with the others, Ultima couldn't help but smile in admiration. Shion's gaze was fierce and focused, a hunter eyeing her prey.
I know she understands that Dagruel is a daunting opponent, yet she's completely undaunted. I could learn from her attitude.
Ultima held a quiet respect for Shion. To Shion, even a giant army was just a challenge to strengthen herself. That kind of boundless optimism was an ideal Ultima, a spiritual entity, wished to observe and learn from. It was no surprise Diablo respected Shion, and Ultima resolved to support her fully. Thus, she stepped in at the right moment.
Shion-san, the plan is progressing smoothly. We should start preparing for the next phase.
Indeed, Adelman was preparing to shift the balance in a battle that had reached a standstill. The true war was just beginning, and from here on, it would only intensify. Adelman leapt onto Venti's back as she revealed her true form as a Gehenna dragon. Waiting for him high in the sky, she had transformed into her wicked dragon state, emitting dark, ominous Yuki with glee. While this aura would have instantly killed any weak human, to Adelman, it was a source of power, enhancing his strength. Completely at ease, Adelman surveyed the battlefield below.
They're holding their own well enough.
Adelman murmured. The lower-ranking undead soldiers had exhausted their missiles and were simply awaiting their fate, but as cannon fodder, they had served their purpose admirably. Pleased with their efforts, Adelman nodded to himself.
Well, I'm about to launch an attack that's anything but gentle. Should I give them a warning?
No, there was no need. Adelman reasoned that their opponents wouldn't understand mercy. His thoughts were echoed by a voice at his side.
This isn't a one-on-one fight, so no need for announcements. Instead of giving up our advantageous position for the sake of honor, we should press on and secure victory, however ruthless it may seem.
This came from Gadra, who had flown up beside him using magic. Amused by his friend's remark, Adelman chuckled.
You're absolutely right. Let's unleash some grand, terrifying magic to shake our enemies to the core.
Then it's a contest. Let's see who performs better today.
Gadra replied, clearly excited. Without delay, Adelman and Gadra began to cast their spells. Although both could perform magic without chanting, for spells of this magnitude, chanting helped focus their minds. For Adelman especially, magic was a form of worship, an act of invoking divine power. He chanted his incantation as though offering gratitude for his ultimate gift, Necronomicon. Adelman opted for a forbidden summoning spell that couldn't be cast within the labyrinth due to its vast reach and unpredictable damage.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Havox, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, JV, Thomas, Christ, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Darius King, Normal Defate, Vicente Bajarias, Joshua Andrade, L, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Christopher Mash, Charles Bailey, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Guy Ensley, Simon Rode, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Smexy, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Vasto Lord, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Jahid Hassan Lipu, Spencer Candila, Ian Sikibiol, Thanacorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Alex Buthanu, Michael Brinkley, Nathan Alexander, Mario Kanoy, Karam Faraj. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.